do a little Brix update while I get ready in the car. So for those of you that don't know, when I was pregnant with Brix, my water broke at 16 weeks. I would like to clarify right now, I did not have him at 16 weeks. My water broke at 16 weeks. When my water broke in the middle of the night, it was a full-on gush of water. I knew immediately my water had broke. It was kid number 4. I knew what that was. We went to the emergency room. They confirmed my water was broken. Basically just said, follow up with your doctor in a couple days. That because it was late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Followed up with my doctor on Monday. Did an ultrasound, confirmed no water, but there was a heartbeat. The doctor said, well, okay, there's still a heartbeat. Within the next 24 to 48 hours, there will be no heartbeat. Baby will not survive in utero with no amniotic fluid. Schedule ultrasound for a couple days later. In the meantime, I'm basically grieving the loss of my baby. Fast forward 2 weeks after my water break, we go back to the doctor every 4 or 5 days. Every single time there's still a heartbeat. At the 2-week appointment, the doctor says, look, this baby's not going to survive. You need to just go ahead and probably terminate. Let's just move forward with that. I say, look, doc, there's a heartbeat. I can't terminate. What's my other options? And let me just preface all of this by saying I do not blame my doctor a single bit. In his 23 years of practice, he has never seen a water break at 23 weeks and for the outcome to be a good outcome. He's not a specialist. He's a regular OBGYN. This doesn't happen. It does happen, just not very often. So he calls over to maternal fetal medicine. It's at about an hour away from where I live. And they say, well, just continue to do ultrasounds every week and to check her blood work for an infection. Chances are she will get an infection. Your body will go sepsis. And you'll have to then terminate because then I would be at risk. So I get my blood work every week. Never an infection. I get an ultrasound every week. Always a sweet little baby heartbeat. Also, during this whole entire time, I am bleeding and continuing to leak because your body will continue to make amniotic fluid, except my sac had ruptured, so it would continue to leak out. This is called PPROM, preterm premature rupture of membranes. Once your sac is broken, there is nothing you can do. People think, oh, you can sew it back up. To my knowledge, every doctor that I have talked to, that since we have been through this entire thing, says no, you can sew your cervix back up. You cannot sew the sac back up. By the grace of God, we make it to 23 weeks. We have had so many ultrasounds at this point. Everything is checking out really well. We obviously know, since everything else is checking out well, his heart, his kidneys, the brain development through ultrasound, everything looks really good. We are thinking it's going to be a lung issue, which is, yes, for sure, it's going to be lungs. So for those of you that don't know, because I didn't know, lung functionality begins at 18 weeks in utero. From 18 weeks to about, I think it's 21 or 22 weeks is the main time where your baby is learning to breathe. Your baby has to have amniotic fluid in order for its lungs to learn to function. So the baby has lungs, but the functionality does not begin until 18 to 21 weeks. Since my water broke at 16 weeks, I had no fluid, so therefore his lung functionality was non-existent. At 25 weeks, I was already admitted into the hospital for daily monitoring, and my placenta ruptured. And this sweet little, I can't zoom him in, sweet little stink-a-boy was born. I dropped my phone. 1 pound, 15 ounces. He was immediately taken from me after the cesarean. I never got to see him. I did see him. I glanced at him. He was immediately taken and put on a ventilator. He was not breathing. Although I didn't know it at the time, those first couple of days of his life were really, really sketchy, really touch and go. He was ventilated. They ended up having to do nitric oxide. He wasn't breathing. He wasn't taking to the machines well. It wasn't looking great. And again, by the grace of God and the amazing doctors at St. John's, he got through. He pulled through. He ended up living on the ventilator for 90 days. Again, I didn't know this. There's 2 types of ventilation. So he had a ventilation tube. So it went all the way down into his lungs, breathing for him, completely breathing for him. But venting a newborn is not the same as venting grandma. Venting a newborn has much more positive outcomes than when you have to vent grandma or grandpa when they are ill. Also in this time, he was considered a micropreemie, being only the 1 pound 15 ounces and born at 25 weeks. We were told there would be numerous brain bleeds. He would probably get ROP, which is an eye thing from all of the oxygen they were having to pump into him. We were also told his digestive system would probably not be really good, and we'd have to deal with some things there. Also, he has a PDA, which is an open heart valve that a lot of preemies are born with, especially micropreemies, and he would probably have to go to surgery in St. Louis to get that clamped. You guys, this little boy is almost 5 months old, and he is so cute. I'm obsessed with him. He got off the ventilator after 90 days. He was on CPAP for about 30 days and currently on oxygen. He is on 2 liters of oxygen. We're weaning that down a little bit. He never had a single brain bleed. He does have the PDA still, but it is not affecting him so far. It is actually shrinking. In the last echo, they said it's tiny. So we have not had to go to St. Louis to get that closed. Digestive, he's 10 pounds. Digestive has been amazing. From the moment he started feeds, he has just never looked back. He loves him some food. And we are currently learning to eat from a bottle because he has had the feeding tube in his nose the entire time. And the last step of all of this is learning to feed. So we're learning to nurse, we're learning to drink from a bottle. We're going very slow because suck, swallow, breathe all at the same time can be very difficult for these little babes, but he is crushing it. I just am saying all of this, and I will continue to shout this from the rooftop because when I pee-prommed at 16 weeks, I scoured the internet for good stories. I found one that was good, not as good as our story. I don't mean that in any kind of negative way, but that sweet boy had a little bit more medical issues than we're having with Brix. And I just want everyone to know that you don't have to accept a prognosis. I truly believe that the energy that I maintained, the positive outlook that I maintained, the fact that I was positively optimistic but not holding on to any attachment, whatever happened with Brix, whatever continues to happen with Brix, I will go with and I will deal with, and I will love that sweet baby 1,000 times to the moon and back. And that's it. He's perfect to me, always will be, always has been. But trust your mama gut, trust your mama intuition. You don't always have to accept every prognosis that is given to you, because honestly, probably 5-10 years ago, if this would have happened, I would have terminated. I would have been terrified. I would have felt backed against a wall. But I'm grateful that I trusted myself and my intuition, and that God gave us this perfect little angel baby. So I just want to share my prom experience, and give other mamas who are going through it some positive encouragement, a positive look at what could have been a really bad outcome.